Hey everybody, I'm here with Barry Farmilo, who is my Google AdWords guy and my YouTube ads guy. He does all my work for me in the background there. Barry, great to have you back on the channel.
Yeah, well, thank you, John. It's always a pleasure to be on with you, doing a live stream or whatever we're doing today, but always a pleasure to work with you.
We're just having a bit of a go for Jesus. And we talked last year, and I'll put a link in the description below on Christmas marketing that actually works. And one of the things that we probably didn't get right, I didn't get right there, is we're probably a bit late to the party. We recorded it too close to Christmas. So this year we're going with a February release for Easter marketing that actually works. So Barry, how could churches use Google Ads to actually promote their Easter services this year?
Yeah, really depends on how much you already know about it, for those that are listening. But, Google Ads is just that ability. If you've got a website, obviously, if people are typing in the right question, they'll find your church. But sometimes they don't. There's other things pop up, and so Google Ads just gives you the ability to sort of jump the queue, as it were, and get your website, get whatever you're doing to the top of that first page. And so that's really the purpose of it, that it's a window into your church. And with Easter coming up, obviously that's one of the biggest church attendance times through the year for our church. So it's just really realizing that churches can create a Google ad fairly simply. You do need an account for all. A Google ad account does help if you've run ads before, let me say that, rather than starting from scratch. But we'll touch on a few things today, but I think as long as you start early enough, it's doable and it does have an impact. Yeah.
What sort of things would you write in an ad? Because it's pretty well, people are going to see it and blink and it's gone, sort of thing. They've scrolled down past it. What would you write on a headline, say on the ad, to really grab someone's attention and make them click through to the church website?
Yeah, and that's all important because you've only got between 30 characters. With the ads, you get a short headline, and which is around about 30 characters, which is not a lot of words to put in there, but you get to write, I think it's up to 15 different short headlines in search ads. So you just got to be very creative, or you can use, of course, AI to help you do, which I do. I have to admit that. Use AI to craft some of those, and obviously you edit it so it's appropriate. So all sorts of things, all sorts of calls to action, all sorts of enticing things. Join us for Easter at whatever your church is. We'd love to see you this Easter. All those sorts of things. If you get 15 headlines you can write, and then you get a what they call a long headline, which is more words, and you get about, I think, 5 long headlines. And then underneath that, you get a description, and you can write, I think, maybe 5 descriptions or something, or 3 descriptions longer. So there's all sorts of levels and layers that you work through to describe why someone might click on your ad. And what you're trying to do is not give them all the information. The whole purpose of a Google ad is to connect them to a website or to a YouTube channel that you run. So it's not an end in itself, if you can understand that. So you don't have to explain, the car parks second on the right down this road and all sorts of things. That's for your website to explain all of that. And so what you do need to do, though, is to click on that ad, and that then takes them to whatever page you've set up on your website, and hopefully that's something about your service, if that's what you're promoting. But you need a dedicated page, otherwise they will click away very quickly. So you need a call to action. This Easter, join us this Easter for an awesome time of celebrating, the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, or something like that. But that's too long for a short headline. So you've got to get really creative. You might put that in your long headline or something. That's too long. Yes. So you've got to be very, very concise. But Google will take those 15 short headlines and they will rotate them, and they will work out through their algorithm what gets the best interaction. So what people are clicking on, what they're not clicking on, thus forget. So so you get the opportunity to have 15 goes at creating a headline. So if you get it wrong, it's not the end of the world. Or maybe you sit around if you've got a staff in your church and you just brainstorm with a piece of paper to get all those headlines. What would, and it is too, I think, particular to your community, to your type of church, and also to the community you are in, because I don't think there's one size fits all that. You know your community best. You know what they respond to. Yeah.
I think you do need that. And this is where AI is so helpful. ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, Copilot, there's so many different models today. You get in there and you ask it to create titles that invoke curiosity and evoke some sort of emotional response, because people only have a little moment to click on it. And if it creates a bit of curiosity or interest, they'll click through. And you're right, Barry, I think the dedicated one page with the time of your Easter services, Good Friday, Sunday, whenever it is, your services, and the Google map before people scroll. Even before they scroll, they go, bang, Friday morning, 9 a.m., 60-minute service, Google Maps, this is where we are. So people on their phone especially are going, oh, great, hit the Google map. Oh, it's just around the corner, honey. Jump in the car, let's go. We'll make it for 9 o'clock. It's a complicated landing page from that ad is just a nightmare of where churches, and maybe because it's of pastors who love to preach and add words in all the place, they just add too much information in the ad.
You've got to learn to be concise. Yeah,
totally. I think cropping and cutting and pruning. Do the John 15 thing. Jesus said it's good to be pruned. So prune your landing page, prune your ad copy down to something very simple.
Definitely. I think with this, it's different. You have to understand. So someone visiting your website, a visitor, someone who's never looked at your website before, never been to your church, but see the ad and that point of curiosity. So you haven't hooked them. They're not like a committed church member who's going to your website to find out what time's meeting this week or what's happening for Easter, and they'll stay there for a couple of minutes scrolling around and reading. But someone who's not part of your church, you've probably only got about 5 seconds to grab their attention after they've clicked and they go that page. So if it's not a good page, or it's not immediately obvious or connected to the ad you've just done, they will swipe away, click away almost instantly. So you've got to deliver what you say in your ad, in your short little headline that they're clicking on. You actually have to deliver the goods, and it's got to be very obvious immediately. You need your best graphic on there. You need, your best wording just as much as you would focus on the ad itself. So you don't want a page where, like you were saying, they've got to scroll down to the bottom to find out, what's happening at Easter, because they'll be gone. So
totally. And this is the way we all operate on the web. So the way that you and I, Barry, and everybody watching this operates on the web is exactly what people are going to do to you when they click through your ad. If you can't find it easily and quickly, I'm on to the next thing. I'll go back to the search and find the next church that's got a Good Friday service on, or a Sunday morning service. People want it with convenience. So I know you've done a lot of Google ads for your own church and seen some success out of that, and seen actually people come to church, which is the ultimate thing we're aiming to do. Can you share a couple of stories of what you've seen from running Google ads in your church, and maybe especially around events like Easter or Christmas or special occasions for your church?
Yeah. And it's one of the things, I suppose, the challenge for pastors and leaders is it worth it, spending the money on Google ads and things like that? Has it actually brought anyone in? And I had to go through a phase when I was running the church, training our greeters, our ushers, when they were just engaging people in conversation, welcoming them, or after the service, just casually saying to them, wonderful to have you here today. And when there's no obvious connection to the church, they haven't come with a friend or something, how did you find us? You just pop the question. And usually if they've come through a Google ad or something like that, their response will be, I found you online. And most of the time they won't realize it was actually an ad that they clicked on, and they were interacting with. So I think you have to have not just the digital, because you can look behind the scenes and see how many click through, how long they stayed on your website when they clicked through, and that was that. But I believe, for pastors and for leaders, there has to be a real world metric where you actually get a feel, okay, people are coming to the church because of the ad. And so I think there does need to be, I've obviously run a lot of Google ads over the years from a church for an event, whether it's been a men's event or, ladies event or whatever we're putting on, or all sorts of things. Anyway, Christmas parties and things. But you've actually got to have, sort of a little bit of experience with it. So your ushers need to sort of be up to speed. Okay, we're going to have visitors. Let's just find out how they found us, because that's really, really important. Why spend money on Google ads if no one's coming to the church through them? Or let's not stop them because 90% of our visitors are coming because of the ads, sort of thing. So I think it's getting that real world thing. And we've done it for Easter, we've done it, I think, over the Christmas period, we've done it for pre-Christmas events, and men's conferences and that sort of thing, and seen success. But that's how we look at the the digital side of it behind the scenes, but also I think real world, just getting feedback from people, discreetly asking how you found us, and so we've certainly seen a bump, but it's not. Let me put it this way: it's not a magic bullet that you're like putting an ad in the paper. It's not a newspaper ad that you can't interact with. Sometimes people think Google Ads is like a decades ago we used to go down and ad copy in for the local newspaper, and our little thing would come up sort of somewhere in the religious section of services along with all the other churches. I don't know if they do that anywhere in the world now, but we used to do that. Yeah, and we make sure our connection point was usually a phone number or something, or the web came along, and then we'd have a website, but then they had to manually tap it all in. But sort of the concept is we're putting a very dynamic piece of advertising in front of people that they've got to click on. So when they come and our services, we've certainly seen a bump, but it's not in isolation. Let me say this: I think people have to understand it's not like sort of the Monday before Easter and I haven't got my ad copy in for the Thursday local paper. No one will be at my Easter Friday service. It's not like that. If you do that with a Google ad, by the time people see it and starts to get traffic and interaction, Easter would have been last month, sort of thing. So you need to be ahead of it.
Do you really want to start any Google ad sort of connection at least a month before Easter to kind of get a campaign rolling?
I think so. Probably what I've discovered over the years, and I found I had a lot of early success probably just putting this, going back a number of years, just throwing in an ad when not a lot of people were doing it. There weren't a lot of business. They were some, but not heaps. Now heaps and heaps are doing it. And it's got harder just to throw an ad up without having any experience. And what happens is Google doesn't know your crowd, doesn't know your audience, doesn't know people who like what you're offering, because it's got no data. So if you start a Google ad even a week or week and a half before with Easter, Google's floundering around, or its algorithm is. And it's trying to find your crowd, it's trying to find your people. So looking, say, okay, they showed the ad to 1,000 people, but only 2 people clicked on it. So 998 people weren't interested. So it's looking at those 2 people are interested. What's their characteristics? We'll show it to more people like that. But that takes a minimum of about 2 weeks for the algorithms to start to click in.
So it's probably similar to that real world scenario of you're thinking of inviting your friend down the road that you hang out with at the cafe along to Easter Sunday, but you've actually never mentioned to them that you're a churchgoer or that you're a believer. And
That's
out
right.
of the blue on Thursday, you say, "Hey, do you want to come to church on Sunday?" And they go,
Yeah.
"What? Go to church? Do you go to church?" It's like, it's kind of like there's no kind of basis for that invite. It's a bit out of the blue, and you're probably going to get a no. And I think it's the same with the Google ads, that you need to kind of start warming up Google to know who you want actually coming to your website, and you're building a bit of relationship and connection there. And I think you're right. One of the big mistakes you can make with advertising is think, "Oh man, I'll just switch it on Easter Thursday, and the crowds will come on Sunday morning."
and switch it off Easter Sunday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
I
wish it did work. I wish. So what I tend to do more recently, always running, pretty well every week, an ad campaign for the church, is just ticking along. I always fine tune it, sort of tweaking it, just seeing who's coming through, whether or not, they're hanging around on the site, changing the description, linking it to relevant pages and things like that. Then you look through and say, okay, what pages people hang on, the about page, the whatever page it is. And so it's a whole thing. You're looking at, where are these visitors going on your site? And then obviously if your ushers are up to speed, you can, kind of look, I've obviously a year or so ago handed church, and then, just heard last few weeks there's been a big visitor surge, which is here in New Zealand. School's just gone back, everyone's come back from holiday. A lot of people obviously looking for a church, and that's when you've got it might not be an event, but you're actually got a fishing line in the water where people are actually looking. Maybe they've moved to the region, the immigrants, they've moved from a different region in the country, and your ad is running, and they turn up. And I know there on Sunday talking to someone, and they said, "Oh, where all these visitors come from?" They're scratching their head, and I said, "Well, some of them would be coming because I'm running. But I mean, I guess too, you do need. Yeah, sorry.
Could you spend
someone
like
could
you spend about $10-15 a week, and over a period of a year just run a small campaign like that and have an impact, or do you need to be spending more sums of money than that?
Yeah, you can. And I've been through stages where it's been up, around $100 a week on a campaign. And other times, I think now, maybe ticking along on about $20 a week or something. So it's right. So that's only, what is that, about $3-4 a day, $3 or $4 a day, a cup of coffee a day. And sometimes you got it, you've got it in the sweet spot in the niche, and it's probably, for most churches, it'll be a search campaign. So that the Google tends to want to push you into certain campaigns where you get, may get seen by more people, but it's seen as effective for something like a church because it's more intent based, what people are looking for. And Google kind of more product based. So
I think for pastors watching, I think about your missions budget. That if you take a few $1,000s out of your missions budget, your local missions, local evangelism, you will get results if you kind of commit to it, rather than Easter Thursday, run a bundle of ads, shut it down Easter Sunday. That's not going to work. But if you actually approach it with intentionality and with a sense of purpose and using your missions budget, but you may be watching now and thinking, "Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start with Google Ads. I'm not a data person. I feel overwhelmed just at the thought of even clicking on and starting an ads campaign." Well, I've got some good news for you. Barry is the man to go to. Barry is the guy who runs my Google AdWords programs and campaigns, my YouTube ads and all that. And because I'm not that data sort of guy, so I've engaged Barry to do that. Barry has a website, which I'll put a link to in the description below, causemetrics.co, and worth getting on a call with Barry and having a talk with him about a strategic plan that you can enact to really lift up your Google AdWords, not only for this Easter, but ongoing, and getting well ahead of the ball game for Christmas. 2025. You can get ready for that now as well. Barry, I hope some people contact you, because I think you can really help a lot of churches with this sort of campaign. And thanks for being with us today.
Always love being with you and everything else. So yeah, open to have an obligation-free chat with anyone, a Zoom or anything like that. So most welcome to contact me. Yes.
Great. Cool. Thanks, Barry.